Good afternoon, everyone. This is Harita from the Department of Public Administration. Today, from Kasturba Gandhi Degree and PG College. Today, we'll be discussing the fourth module and the fifth module. In the fourth module, yesterday, we discussed about the pay components and the other aspects. Today, we'll be trying to complete the block 4 and 5. In today's class, we'll be discussing about employee capacity building strategies, training, total quality management, employee grievances, right sizing, outsourcing, consultancies, and interpersonal skills. So today, first we will discuss about employee building strategies. Now, what is this employee building strategy? Employee building strategy is a process by which individuals and organizations obtain, improve, and retain the skills, knowledge, and tools, equipment, and other resources needed to their job completely or with greater capacity. Means capacity building is and bringing out or giving. If you take an example of an individual who is working in an organization, now to improve his quality of work, then when the inner capacity when it is being when it is brought out by the organization, by imparting him some extra knowledge or extra skill, that is known as capacity building strategy. Now, in this capacity building strategy, we can take up an important tool which is being utilized by many of the organizations. It might be in the government sector or in the private sector. So in this regard, the most important tool in these capacity building strategies is the training. Training is, now what is this training? We all come across this word now and then, where it might be about a school teacher or a faculty or a person who is working in a company, a software engineer. When we go for a placements, when the new recruitees are being taken up, all of them, they undergo the training process. So this is a very, very common word. But when we talk about capacity building, everybody get confused that what is this capacity building? Capacity building is bringing out inner strengths out from the person. That is known as, and making him ready for the market. That is known as capacity building. For this capacity building, training is one of the important tool which is being used by the organizations. Now, what is this training? As I told you, training is a very powerful tool for capacity development of the employees in an organization. So now, what is this training? Training is one of the element in capacity building. So now what is this? What are the types of training? Training can be, we can just talk about training in two aspects. That is training, types of training and components of training. Now, when we talk about the types of training, training can be imparted to individual capacity building and as well as community capacity building. Or we can say that this is in this types of capacity building also we can term them as, that is the capacity building. The types of capacity building are the two types. They are individual capacity building and community capacity building. Now, when we talk about the individual capacity building, individual, the word itself says individual, means a person, an individual, and it might be an employee, a student, a teacher, and a civil servant, whoever it might be. It is an individual. So bringing out the inner capabilities and making them ready for the new task is the individual capacity building. Now, the community capacity building is bringing everybody onto one platform, bringing everybody onto one platform and making them recognize their inner strengths and making them ready for the organization. That is known as community capacity building. So in this regard, in this so if you take, as I have given you the example of individual capacity building, now we will take up an example of community-based capacity building. The best example we can take is in self-help groups or training programs which are being conducted by the government, where group of people, now when we talk about self-help groups, now what are these self-help groups? These are the group of women coming together, and when they are imparted training on a particular thing, that might be a basket making or candle making, all these that are knitting, stitching, all these tailoring work, when all of them are being brought together on one platform, and when, because each one of them might have their skills in them, but they might not be able to bring them out. So when there is being given some motivation, or when they are being put under one platform, seeing one and another, they come out with their inner capabilities. So they will be able to, the extra knowledge, they will be ready for the skill, or they can earn their living. So we can say that this capacity building will give an individual or a community. Now, why we are using the word community? Because when we are talking about a group of people, where when they are being imparted knowledge, or when they are being given skill programs, or when they are being given skill to improve their skills. So when they go into the society, they will be ready for the society to earn their living. So we are not talking about individual, we are talking about a group of people. That is known as community capacity building. So in this, two types of capacity building are there. First one is individual capacity building. Second one is community capacity building. Now coming to the components, what are the components of capacity building? Components of capacity building involves two. They are organizational and human. They are because now if you take in an organization should develop on its own, and as well as taking individual also into its context as an employee. So organization is capacity building of the organization should also take place, and on the other way around, the employees who are working in the organization also should be imparted capacity building. That is, they have to improve their inner capabilities, which will make them ready for the organizational goals. So now organizational, what might be the organizational capacity building? It is about imparting technical knowledge, that is technical as well as human. I'm using the words technical and as well as human. Technical means it might be usage of the equipments, the machinery, all the gadgets, or whatever is being used in the organization. So they have to be technically, they have to be used and may have to be enhanced, or they have to be made ready for the future needs. And equally, human beings also. Now here in the organization, we term human beings as the workers or the workforce or the employees. So when these employees are made or improve, are being imparted the training, or they are being given to a platform to improve their skills, to improve their knowledge, whereby providing an inner capability to bring about or go for the organizational goals. So this is one of the component, organizational capacity building. Second one is human capacity building. In this, human capacity building is assisting an individual or a group when everybody is being put on one platform, one equally, when one of them assists the other to bring about their inner capabilities, bring about inner capabilities. Why? Because if one is ready for the job, and if he is having all the capability to work for the organization, but if the other person is unable to perform in the same manner, then it might be a loss to the company, because only with one person the organization cannot move around or cannot go to the reaching the organizational goals. So it is very important for the organization to have these components, that is assisting one and another and assisting a group of them to bring about changes in the organization. So in this regard, capacity building, as we were talking about, as a training as a very, very important tool. So now we will be talking about training now in this capacity building. As I told you, the training is a very important tool. Where now, what is this training? Training can be termed or can be defined as it is an act of increasing knowledge and skill of an employee for performing, for doing a particular job. So what is training? Training is an act of increasing knowledge and skill of an employee for doing a particular job. Now, when we talk about this job training, we come across when each and every individual, when they join an organization, a company, a factory, or a shop also, where the things, a supermarket also, means when an individual enters an organization, he will not be given the work right away. 1 or 2 days, or in a period of time, he has to understand the environment of the organization, the work culture of the organization, and as well as the need or the methods what the organization is using. And he should have grasped the knowledge, what is there, what has to be done, when it has to be done, how it has to be done. And based on the knowledge which is being imparted to that individual, he has to correlate them with the skill whatever he has. That is what is a mental process. So when both of them come together, then the training can be done in a proper manner. Now, if you take the example of an IT person, now an IT professional, he knows how to use the computer, he knows the software, he might be knowing everything. But when he enters the organization, he should know what work he has to perform, what the work he has to be assigned, or what has to be done. Unless and until he knows the nature of the work, he might not be able to perform the work in a greater manner. So he will be imparted training for a particular time, then the assignments or work is being imparted to him. So the training is a very, very important tool to make the person or an individual ready to take up the job. So training, we can term it as an increasing knowledge, and it is an act of increasing knowledge and skill of an employee for doing a particular job. Now coming to the methods of training, there are two types of methods involved in the methods in the training process. That is of on-the-job job method and off-the-job method. Now, on-the-job method is where on the location itself, means when a person is being recruited. When the person is recruited, then he goes to the organization. He goes to the organization and he involves himself into the organization. So when he involves himself into the organization, he should know his role. He should know his role, means till where his work starts and where his work ends. He cannot take up all the work in the organization. For example, we take in a person who is working in an accounts section. Now, when an accountant is being taken up in the organization, so when he has to be put in the organization and he has to be put in the accounts section. So where he cannot take up the whole work of accounts into on him only, right from the starting position. So because it will be a huge process, he has to understand what work he has to do. Means he has to take up only the day-to-day entries, or he has to take up the employee salaries, like that. That is known as his role and responsibilities. And this role and responsibilities which are being imparted to an individual in the organizational location, that is known as on-job training process. That is, when an individual gets training in the organization itself is known as on-job training process. Now, the second one is off-the-job method. Off-the-job method is away from the organization, away from the work site, we can say. When a person is imparted training, or when a person is imparted knowledge or to improve his skills and capabilities, in that manner, when it is away from the organization, that is known as off-the-job training process. Now, what are the methods in this? There are n number of methods in this off-the-job training process. To name a few, we can take up the first and foremost can be lecture method, coaching, vestibule, sensitivity training. All these are the off-the-job training processes. Now, lecture method. Lecture method is now when we take up a civil servants, or when they are going for writing the exams, or when they are going for writing a big, huge exams, which have to be, where these students or the aspirants attend the lecture methods and coaching, what to do, when to do, how to answer, or how to be to gain their knowledge on the particular subject. So when they enter the organization, they will be ready to take up the job responsibilities. Now, that is known as a training lecture method and the coaching method. The third one is vestibule training process. For example, when we take up a pilot in airlines, a pilot will be explained what is what in a lecture method, that how a plane might fly, what are the equipments used, what are the gadgets used, all this. But With that lecture method only, he cannot fly the plane. He has to sit in the cockpit and he has to learn to fly. Likewise, driving also. That is, when a person learns driving, he cannot learn on a blackboard. He cannot learn from a blackboard and he cannot start a car or a vehicle. He has to sit in that vehicle, onto the vehicle, and he has to start the vehicle and he has to use the knowledge which has been imparted to him. So that is known as vestibule training method. This is off-job training, where first the training process will be taken up outside the site, and after that they are being imparted in the process, in the same where they have to use the training. That is known as vestibule training process. Then the next important one in this training process of job training is the sensitivity training. Sensitivity training, by the name only we can come across sensitivity. What do you mean by sensitivity? Sensitivity is the psychological nature or psychological work or the mind process of an individual. The attitudes, the attitude of a person, because each individual will have their own type of thinking and taking the things into him, analyzing the things, evaluating the things. So when these people are imparted knowledge about taking care of their attitudes and making them ready for the organization, their behavior, that is known as sensitivity training. So this is all about capacity building. Capacity building in this training process is an important tool. Now we will take up the next topic, total quality management. Total quality management, TQM. TQM refers to certain standard and ways and means by which those standards are achieved, maintained, and improved. Total quality management means if an organization makes a standard, comes to a standard, then it has to maintain that standard and it has to try to bring about various means and ways to maintain that standard. So, and it has to improve itself in going forward in that standard. It should not come down. It should only improve its standard. That is known as total quality management. There are many principles involved in this total quality management. There are, to name a few, total quality management focuses on customer and citizen or a citizen. Why? Because if you talk about an organization, the ultimate motto or ultimate goal of the organization is profit. So to attain that profit, it has to maintain its standard. Now, when we talk about these branded companies or branded products, what is that? They have come out with a name. They have established with their name that this product is good. Means it will be because it might be many consumers or many customers might have used. So everybody started to think about it, started to talk about it. So it might have given a customer satisfaction. When the customer gets satisfied with the product, whatever he is using, then he will say that, yes, I am satisfied. So he will be just go with the name of the product and the brand of that product. So he will just go and pick that brand from the market. Now, suddenly, when the customer is using that, and he will tell that if I choose this product means I am sure that this will be a good one only. That is only total quality management. Now, the company has to maintain that quality and has to improve that quality. It cannot come down. It cannot say that I will not, at times it cannot say that it will come down. No, it has to maintain its standard to have a customer satisfaction, to gain the customers, to get imprinted in the customer's mind. That is known as TQM. So the first and foremost principle of total quality management is TQM focuses on customer and citizen. Second one is to TQM focus on the total employee involvement. Total employee involvement, because if you want to get the things done at the right time and the right place with good productivity, it has to, the employees should have work in a better manner. So employee involvement should be very good. Then the third one can be process-centered. Process-centered means the process, whatever the processes are involved, it had to be carried out in a very simplified manner to get the work done. That is known as total quality management. Now, the next one in this is productivity management. Now, what is this productivity management? Productivity management refers to the quality of being productive. That is, it is a measure of the efficiency of a person, machine, factory, or a system. Now, if you take the example of a person, the person, how he works, how the quality of work done by an employee or an individual decides his work, and he decides him as an, we can say that they can decide him that he can perform well or he cannot perform well, or should he be given more work, or the work, whatever is being given, has to be taken from him. So the work done by an individual giving out his efficiency is known as productivity management. The quality of being productive means when a person is assigned a work, how well he performs, how well he performs his activity, how the outcome of his work is being decided, and the person's identity can be created or identified, stating that this person will work, this person can be given incentive because he works very nicely. If the person does not work properly, then we can say that this productivity of this person is not good because he is not showing his efficiency in performing the task, nor he is unable to bring about the work, whatever is being assigned to him. So productivity management is also one of the important aspects of the total quality management, because if the productivity of the individual, the equipments, the machines, the systems, if everything goes on well only, then only the organization can bring about total quality in their work and can go for consumer satisfaction. So this is a productivity management. So in this block 4, we discussed about total quality management, productivity management, capacity building strategies, and also training. Now we will move on to the last module, that is the block 5, that is issues in the human resource management. There are, we come across many issues. Now, everything might not go on smoothly in the organization. So when we talk about human resources, we talk about human resource management, incentives management, we talk about the human resource development. And when we talk about all these, there might be some issues also coming up in the human resource management. So in this regard, the first and foremost can be discussed as employee grievances, employee redressal to employee grievances. Employee grievances refers to the dissatisfaction of an employee with what he or she expects from the organization and its management. Now, what is a grievance? Grievance can be of anybody. It might be a student and an employee or whoever. Grievance is a dissatisfaction. Grievance means the dissatisfaction. So now when we are talking about human resources, as we know that what is human resource? It is the workforce which is used by the organizations to reach the organizational goals. So in this context, the workforce might show some dissatisfaction, because there might be n number of issues coming up in the organizations. It might be related to the organization. It might be related to the employees individually. So the dissatisfaction can be between the co-workers. The dissatisfaction might be between the hierarchy, that is we can say the employer and the employee, or the superordinate and the subordinate. So the grievances can be of many types. But the most important point to remember about grievances, grievance means the dissatisfaction. When we talk about employee grievances, it refers to the dissatisfaction of an employee with what he or she expects from the organization or the management. That is, we as an individual also, we expect something more from the opposite person. But if that person does not meet the satisfaction levels of an individual, then we feel that I thought that person will work with me. I thought that person will help for me, come for my help, but he did not come for my help. I had many hopes on them. Then we say that yes, I am dissatisfied because he did not turn up or she did not come to my help. So this is in a common term. But when we talk about in the concept of employee grievances, this can be of the dissatisfaction which is being showed by the employees through for the organization or in the management. Now, there are some types of employee grievances also. Now, to name a few, the first and foremost can be compensation and benefits related grievances. As we have discussed in the earlier class, compensation, wage, pay, or remuneration, salary. In every organization, this is a common one where the employees might show dissatisfaction towards the management in the pay. Some employees might be dissatisfied based on whatever they are being getting from the organization. They might think that I am working so hard for the organization and the organization is not paying me a good amount of salary. It is not recognizing my work. It is not recognizing me. It is not paying me. That is the most important grievance we come across in the perspective of the organization. Then the next important can be of grievances related to employment and personnel policies. Personnel policies. Personnel. It is not AL. It is EL. EL means the workforce, the employees who are working in the organization. So the employees might think that there might be grievances related to the employment. That is, the organization might not be filling the vacancies, or they're related to promotions, related to the training process, or all these, or the policies, the HR policies, or the benefit policies, or the salary policies, recruitment policies. So the dissatisfaction can be of many types. To come up with a few of them, first one is a compensation and the benefits related policy grievance. Second one is a grievance related to employment and personnel policies. So this is all about the employee grievances. Now, the next topic in this is a right sizing. Now, right sizing is also termed as downsizing or right sizing. Right sizing is now what is this right sizing? Right. Right means everything should be in a proper manner. So right sizing is a process of reorganizing or restructuring or reorganizing, that is, of an organization. Now, how can this reorganizing or restructuring of the organization can be done? It can be done, the right sizing or reorganizing or restructuring can be done by cost cutting, reduction of the workforce. Cost cutting or reduction of the workforce. Cost cutting is, now what is cost cutting? Cost cutting is optimum usage of the resources. Not going, the organization, if it does not go for utilization of more resources, which might in turn show wastage of the resources. For example, now at 1 ton of the produce has to be used for manufacturing of the goods. But if 2 tons are being used, raw material is being used, then the organization which has to see more losses. So it is cost cutting, is using optimum utilization of the whatever resources are available, then which can be give out a better perspective or prospect, that is the things can be carried out. That is a cost cutting. Then the next one is reduction of the workforce. Reduction of the workforce is how many employees are needed by the organization to complete the task, is reduction of the workforce. That is, for example, if the organization needs only 20 employees to complete that task, and if it is having 30 employees, then if the 10 employees are extra for the organization, and they have to be given the pay or the salary just to make them satisfied. When they might not be they might not be helpful for the organization, because they will not be having a work also. So removing those 10 people and utilizing these 10-20 people only to complete the task, whereby the 10 people who are shown the door, that 10 people's salary is being saved, the time is saved, everything is saved. So this is the right sizing. That is, once again, right sizing, it is a process of reorganizing or restructuring of the organization, whereby how can it be done? It can be done by its work by cost cutting and reduction of the workforce, by the reduction of the workforce. That is right sizing. Then next is outsourcing. Next concept is outsourcing. What is outsourcing? This is a buzzword, I can say. What's outsourcing? Outsourcing, as we all know, that nowadays we in the concept of government also, in the concept of private organizations also, all are being outsourced. The work is being outsourced. Now, what is this outsourcing? Outsourcing is a process of the job functions are framed out to the or given out to a third party. Or third party, that is, now, for example, the best example can be of Me Seva centers, or the centers where previously we used to go and pay our power bills, water bills, property tax bills, all the bills to individual officers. That is, payment of the current bill to an in the electricity department, water bill in the this waterworks, likewise phone bill in the BSNL office, we used to go and pay. But nowadays, everything is outsourced, means a third party is doing. That is the Me Seva centers, or where at a one stop you can pay all the bills at a one stop. And what is outsourcing? Outsourcing is the work which has to be done by a particular organization. That work is being assigned to a third party, and the third party will be functioning on behalf of them, and some salary, wages, or some amount is being paid to them. And with this, what happens is they are being given some pay, and in turn, employment generation also takes place. So what is outsourcing? Outsourcing is a job functions which are formed or framed and by a third party. Now we come across this outsourcing in all the best examples. We can talk about the MNCs or the BPOs, which are where these MNCs, they take up the projects of the foreign companies and they work from here. And that foreign company gives their work to this company to finish the task. There are many advantages of this outsourcing also, where this outsourcing here completes the task in the stipulated time with only a less number of people, more quality of work, more efficiency can be seen. All this can be seen in this outsourcing process. So this is all about outsourcing. Then the next one is consultancies. Now, do you understand by the term consultancy? Consultancy is a term where you get an expert advice or expert services. Nowadays, these consultancies are a huge success because, to name a few, we have foreign consultancies, that is, whoever wants to go abroad to foreign countries, they take the expert advice, that is, which countries are good, where the good education is good, where the job opportunities are good, where the climatic conditions, where the security is good. All these aspects a person cannot gather from an individual. So he has to ask many of them, and he might not get a clear picture also. So this person, they go to a consultancy. What is a consultancy? This consultancies will have the experts who have extra knowledge, extra capabilities, or who are aware of the things what are happening in the present scenario. Now, for example, take the chartered accountants, or these property dealers, all of them. What are they? The chartered accountants. Now, if a person wants to pay his tax, income tax, or whatever it might be, to how he has to plan his property, assets, income, everything. He might not be, and a simple person might not have that much knowledge. How to invest, where to invest, what might be the repercussions, where will be the money go, what will be the interest rates, all this has to be studied. So in this regard, an expert advice is needed. To get this expert advice only, the people go to a chartered accountant. This chartered accountant helps the people, an individual, to plan his income, or invest his income, where how much he is getting, how much has to be utilized, where it has to be utilized, how can he go for more assets, how can he earn more money. All this can be termed in this regard. Next, we can take up the other example of a property dealer, property consultants. Which area is good for investments, where there will be a price hike in the coming years, where the quality of land is good, the quality of work is good, all these. Now, a person, a daily, or a person who is working, he can, if he wants to buy a house, then he might not be able to go to each and every place, check for the details or the house, and he might not have that extra expertise to recognize what are the flaws in the work. So he needs an extra advice. So this consultancies are the expert services or advices which are being given by an expert. Who is an expert? Who has an extra knowledge about what has to be done, when it has to be done, how it has to be done. So with this expert advice, a person can acquire knowledge and improve his inner capabilities, and as well as get good returns. So consultancies help in getting more information, and so this consultancies are a very good, we can say, expert advisors or expert services. Now, coming to the last topic, that is the interpersonal skills. Now, what are these interpersonal skills? Interpersonal skills refers to the employee's ability to work well with others in order to perform the job well. Now, when a best example is a worker in an organization. in a production. Now, in the production department, an individual worker cannot go on in using the machine on his own. And he might not have, because huge works are being taken up. So he has to have an association with his co-worker, with better understanding, with employees' ability to work well with the others. That is, it might involve interpersonal skills, it might involve cooperation, coordination, and cooperation is very important. Then coordination, then understanding, mutual understanding. All this is needed to finish the task. But if there is a misunderstanding coming out, if there is a misunderstanding between the workers, then the work cannot be finished on time, and it might lead to the organizational loss, or the organization might not reach the targets or might not reach the profits. So it is very important for the organization to look up to this interpersonal skills of the organization, whereby imparting or making the employees understand the beauty of interpersonal skills, that is through cooperation, through mutual understanding, avoiding misunderstandings, through cordial relationships, the things can be done in a better manner. The things can be done and can be achieved in a better manner in shorter time. So in this regard, there are some important aspects to be discussed in this interpersonal skills. The first one, the foremost, is the teamwork. Teamwork is, now we all know, team is a group of people coming together to achieve a target. That is, so if the team, which consists of 10 people, if those 10 people, if they don't work with cooperation and coordination, then the work might not get completed. So teamwork is very, very important. Without teamwork, the organization might not be able to achieve the targets in the stipulated time. Then the next is verbal and communication skills. This is a very important one aspect after teamwork. Teamwork is everybody coming together onto one platform to achieve the target or achieve the goal with mutual coordination and cooperation is teamwork. Second important aspect is verbal and communication skills. Verbal is the most important sorted work, or we can say most important thing, where the employee, the communication verbally, if greeting each other, understanding what the work has to be done through communication, better understanding, transparency, sharing of words, sharing what is being done, what has to be done, how it has to be done, when it has to be done. Then with this verbal communication, when there is a mutual understanding going on, then the things can be carried out in a better manner. And the third and important one is responsibility. Responsibility is taking up onto one's shoulder. That is, yes, this is my organization, this is my company. I have to work for the company, I have to work for the organization. And whatever might be the pros and cons, I have to address the problems. I have to address the issues. I have to make the things comfortable, and I have to take up the responsibility of the work done. If anything goes wrong, I should, the organization or the employees should feel that, yes, this is the work which has to be carried out, and I am responsible for that. If everybody takes up the responsibility of performing that work, then everything will go on. Accountability, that I am showing my responsibility. I am taking up that responsibility, whereby I am accountable to the people or the organization, and I have to work in a team effort. So interpersonal skills involves a major aspects that are teamwork, verbal and communication skills, and responsibility. That is oneness. Oneness is bringing everybody onto the one platform and performing the activity or the work assigned to them in a particular manner. With that, the organization might reach or might achieve the targets. So it is very important for the organization to keep in mind these all, the teamwork, because without teamwork, the organization, because each one should understand what has to be done, when it has to be done, how it has to be done. If the organization does not have the clarity, if does not have the team spirit in them, the loyalty, it is in one way or the other way, we can say that it is the organization or the management responsibility to imbibe the teamwork in the organization, or we can say that it has to make a conducive atmosphere for the employees to feel the responsibility, and they should feel the loyalty. Because if the organization wants to show if the employees have to show their loyalty, they have to be given that importance, or they have to be given that recognition to work for the organization. So this is all about the interpersonal skills. So in the today's class, with this, we have finished the syllabus of HRM. So in today's class, we have discussed about the human, in the overall concept of the HRM, we discussed about what is human resource management. Then we discussed about the incentive management. In the incentive management, we discussed about the pay components and the incentives, rewards, compensation. Then we discussed about the human resource development, that is the capacity building, training procedures or training processes. Then we discussed about the total quality management, productivity management. Then we discussed about the issues in HRM, the issues which are related to human resource development or human resource management. In that, we discussed about the employee grievances, right sizing, outsourcing, consultancies, and interpersonal skills. This is all about the HRM. Thank you.